welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajibola. If this is your first time stopping by, you're very much welcome. I love you, and if this is your second or you're a returning viewer or subscriber, you're still very much welcome. I love you so much. So this is the second part of the Cape Sleeve Palazzo Jumpsuit. The first part was all about the pattern making, and I decided to divide it into two parts, the pattern making and the sewing part, in order not for it to be too long and boring. So you can see my sister here rocking it happily at the wedding event she attended. And this jumpsuit was drawn from this inspiration right here, but with some twist to it. We added lace to the front and to the back panels. So if this is what you would love to watch, kindly enjoy, share, like, and do not forget to subscribe. And of course, we're going to start by cutting out our fabric before sewing. And you can see the way I'm placing my tape roll. I left some inches out, which is my original shoulder to waist measurement. In my case, it was 16 inches, and from there I'm measuring downwards to the total length of the jumpsuit plus 2 inches hemming allowance. The reason why I drafted out half of this pattern was because of paper management. We all know how things are expensive lately. So if it's a pencil or fitted trouser, I will advise you not to do this method. Close your eye and draft the full pattern. So from there, I ruled a line. There, I've already added my 2 inches sewing allowance to it, to the full measurement. I'm just going to use my scissors to cut it out. This is the front trouser pattern.
You are holy, so righteous, magnificent God, yeah. Oh, what a great God you are, Lord, what a great God you are. Would you lift your voice to Him, yeah. You are mine, your name is Jesus. It's the greatest name above all. There is none greater than you. I know you for myself. You are so holy. You're the righteous God, magnificent God. Oh, yeah, yeah. Woo! What a great God. You are good, you are good. You are good. You are kind. You are great. Precious Jesus. Precious Jesus, I love you. Oh, you are good, yeah. You are kind.
So I went ahead to cut the top part of the jumpsuit off camera, including the lace panel as well, except for the cape sleeves and the front trouser panels. So I'm going to go to my sewing machine to weave all round the edges all round. We'll be starting with the trouser part of this jumpsuit. I have laid them right side facing right side, and from that zipper fly, I'll be going downwards to the curve area, the flap area, using my sewing allowance of ½ inch and back stitching both ends so that they will be intact. I'll also do that for the front of my trouser. The same method, I'm going to be back stitching it from the top of the crouch depth line towards the curve of the flap, back stitching both ends with my sewing allowance of ½ inch. So after joining it at the crotch depth line, this is how the front part looks like. Now we're going to go ahead to use our tape measure to measure in 1.5 inches on both sides. Remember, this is what we did when we were drafting our style line for the top of the jumpsuit pattern. This way, we used 1.5 inches from the center front and from the center back of our top part. So I'm just going to go ahead to measure the distance from the marking to the end of the waistline, and I'm going to use that in drafting the panel for the front of our trouser. So I had 6 inches. I'm also going to measure the length again of the trouser, the whole trouser length, because we are about to draft the panels for the front of the jumpsuit. I'm just here trying to, you know, write it out so I will not forget at the back of our fabric. So here I am with um, the remnants of the fabric. I'm just going to fold it into two and draft out the length and the width of the panel. So I'm just trying to confirm the measurement here. I'm folding it into two this way. So after folding my fabric using the width of the panel, which we measured from that 1.5 towards the end of the waist, I'm now going to take my length, my trouser length measurement, and also mark it out this way. After doing that, I'm going to cut it out. And when that is done, I'm going to divide that fold. I'm going to cut that fold to make it two separate rectangular pieces. So after cutting out the two panels for the front trouser, I'm going to go ahead to hem one side of each of them. You're going to do a tiny hemming from the top to the bottom, the part at which is going to be exposing. So that is the part you are going to hem. I'm going to do that for both sides of my panel. And after doing that, I'm going to place them on each side from the 1.5 inches we made there. I'm going to place them that way and sew it to the waistline this way so that they can be balanced. Guys, make sure that it's aligning and straight on your trouser. Do not cut the shape out the waist yet. Just place it that way, hem it and place it on both sides and sew it at the waistline. I have here with me the mid panel for the front and one of the mid panels for the back as well. And you can see I just placed the shoulders on themselves by my sewing allowance of ½ inch, and I'm running my tape from the front waistline across the shoulder towards the back waistline, and the measurement you have there, you keep it in mind. Now you can see I have laid my lace on the panels, the mid panels for the front and the back. I've also gone ahead to cut interfacings for the necklines and I've serged them. I'm just pinning them in place because the lace was not stable. They were moving here and there. So you just have to pin it down carefully. Take your time to pin it. So after laying your lace on the main fabric, what you're going to do next is just to run the stitch all round to secure it very well, because you do not want it to look rough. You want it perfectly laid on the main fabric. Then after doing that, I'm going to sew my neckline interfacings to turn the necklines for both the back and the front. So it is time to draft the cape sleeve for the jumpsuit, and I have with me my paper that I've already cut out with the length, half of the length of that measurement we took from the waistline across the shoulder and towards the back waistline of the panels. divided by 2 plus 6 inches. That 6 inches is for the pleating of the sleeves at the shoulder. So I had 32 inches when I made my measurement. I divided it by 2, that's 18. Now that 18 inches plus 6 inches is 24. So I have my paper is 24 inches for length, and the width is 8 inches because my sister wanted our sleeve to be a bit longer than the one in the pictures. But if you don't want yours to be longer, you can make it shorter, like lesser than 8 inches, depending on your preference. So now it's time to just draw the curve for the sleeve. You will notice that the sleeves towards the front tilted. It was not as big as the shoulder part of um or as the shoulder part. So it's tilted towards down, towards the waistline. So that is the curve we're about to draw with the aid of my ruler. If you have a curve, you don't have to go through this stress of mine, but I'm just using my curve as a direction. Then I'll be using my free hand to curve it out. So you're going to draw your curve from one edge towards the midpoint, like you're going to see me do with my free hand. Now, you start from the edge like this, and you curve it towards the mid of the paper. After drafting out your pattern, just place it on your fabric this way. If you have sufficient fabric, please fold your fabric first and place the pattern on a fold. But if you don't, you have to go through this method. You have to cut 4 of this fabric, then you will join them in twos for both armholes. And do not forget to add your sewing allowance for hemming and joining it to the bodies. Now I'm going to use my scissors to cut it all round. I'm done cutting out 4 pieces of that pattern, the sleeve pattern, and right now I'm just going to join them at the center that way with ½ inch allowance. Then after joining it, I'm going to hem it. As you can see, I've already weaved the hem area, so I will just be folding it once. I will not be folding twice because I've already weaved it in order to make it easy for me. So with the neck of my bodice properly turned and the shoulders sewn together like this for both panels, I'm going to go with my tape measure and measure 2 inches from the shoulder on both sides. And these markings will represent where my gathering is going to start and where my gathering is going to stop. The shoulder gathering for the sleeve, so that everything will be equal and aligned. So I'm just going to place my sleeves on the shoulder line at the midpoint of the sleeves this way. Then the edge of my sleeve, I'm going to place it at the edge, the waistline of the bodice, and sew it upwards towards that marking. Then I'm going to stop there. Then do the same for the other end of the sleeve. Sew it upwards towards the end of the other markings. Then the excess fabric at the center will be pleated in. So after attaching the cape sleeves to the style lines, to the panels, I'm going to take the side panel of my bodice and place it on top of the sleeves, right side facing right side this way. Then I'm going to sew it from one end across the shoulder to the other end this way. So I'm going to do that for both sides. So after that is sewn, you can see how neat it looks like. You can see everything is hidden. It's better than just layering a piece of fabric on your bodice that way. So it's time to just join the upper bodice with the bottom. And here is the front trouser with its own cape as well. So now I'm just going to place my trouser on the front bodice, but before doing that, I'm going to find the midpoint of my front bodice. I'm just doing this by folding it into equal halves and marking it with my chalk. You can see me here trying to mark it so that everything will be aligned. So after doing that, I'm going to align my mid of my trouser this way and place it on the midpoint of the top. Guys, this part needs a lot of patience and a lot of pinning. Make sure that everything is aligned, that your cape sleeves is aligning with the overlay of your, that is the extra layer of your front trouser, and pin it intact so that when you are sewing, everything will be intact. It will not move around. So when you are done with the arrangement and everything, you're just going to sew it with your seam allowance on the waistline. So you have to do the same for the back as well. You're going to align the back trouser with the back of the bodice like this and pin them together. After joining the top with the bottom at the waistline, I went ahead to attach my zipper off camera because of the limited time I had. And now guys, you have to lay your garments on themselves, right side facing right side. Make sure that your sleeves are not poking out because it is time to join the bodies, like shape it out according to the measurements. And you're going to use your pins to hold them intact and hold them properly. Make sure that the seams are aligning with themselves. It takes a lot of patience to do this. You do not rush when you are doing this.
What a great God you are. Masoke taye nama shatea. Come and say you are holy, Lord. Yeah. So righteous, magnificent God. What a great God you are. You are mightier than the mightiest. Selamashatakabaya. You are good. Jesus, you are kind. You are great.
So after properly pinning your front and your back together, aligning every seam lines together, it's time to take your body circumference measurement, and I mean your bust circumference measurement, your waist circumference measurement, and your hips circumference measurement. You're dividing your bust by 4, your waist by 4, and your hips by 4. So right now I just divided my waist measurement, and from my, I'm using my zipper as my mid reference point so that I'll be able to have equal measurement on both sides. And I'm putting in my waist measurement there. Now I'm trying to figure out the bust measurement as well. I'm trying to divide it on my tape measure this way. I fold it into 2, and I also fold it into 2 again. And I'm going to place it on my zipper. That's my mid of my body, and I'm going to mark it. That's for my bust. And again, I forgot to mention, do not forget to, this is the point where you will hem your armhole. Make sure your armhole is neatly hemmed. And the bottom of your pants shouldn't be hemmed yet until you have sewn the sides together. So I'm just connecting the bust to my waist this way. When that is done, I'm just going to place my tape measure on the waist and measure downwards to mark out my hip line. On this hip line, I am going to take my quarter hip circumference measurement on both sides. You can see that I'm placing my tape measure from the mid of a trouser, that is from the zipper area, the zipper line, and I'm measuring towards the outer edge of the hip, quarter measurement, and the other side as well, quarter measurement, so that I can have equal measurement on both sides. And after doing that, I'm just going to connect with my chalk. I'm going to connect it from my waist towards that hip measurement and take it downwards. And I'll do that for the other side as well. I'm going to connect from my waist to the hip downwards towards the hem line. And now it's time to join the whole bodies, and this is the crotch area. Make sure that the seam lines are aligning with each other. You have to take your time in pinning them together. Do not rush, because if your lines are not aligned, it will make your work look untidy and not professional. So right now I am opening up the seams and I am placing them on top of each other, right side facing right side, and I'm making sure that they are aligned so that I can run my sewing machine on it. So guys, make sure that everything, the sides, the waistline of both the front and the back, are aligned. The crotch line as well, make sure that they are all aligned. After I have pinned the trouser together, I'm going to sew the hem of the trouser as well as that front drape that we attached to the front piece of the trouser. Then I will sew the crotch line by ½ inch there. And after doing that, I'll also join the sides with the measurements we took on it that we use in shaping the jumpsuit. And that will be all for the jumpsuit. And here is the final look of it. You can see my sister happily rocking it and